Welcome back, everyone, to the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette High School Football Podcast. We have made it to November, the 11th month of the year. We got one more week left in the regular season. We're here, everybody. I'm Jeremy Muck, the high school football coordinator for the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, joined by senior editor Rex Nelson. Rex, to tell you what, we've made it to the final week. How about it?
Boy, it's gone fast. I mean, we sit around, guys like you and me who love football, we sit around waiting for the season to start all year, and then it just seems to fly. It seems like it was just yesterday, Jeremy. It was that first week when we had Monday night games and Tuesday night games and Thursday night games. Here we are already entering the final week of the regular season, and by late Friday night, we'll all be filling our brackets out.
Absolutely. I just feel like it was yesterday that I was up in Jonesboro doing Valley View Osceola, and then going down to Magnolia the next day to go see Rise and Prescott. That's how fast the season has flown by, but we love it anyway. That's why football is the best sport in the world, right? So, Rex, let's not waste any more time here. Just we're going to kick it off. Class 7A, just some big games in Class 7A last week. Starting off with Bryant, North Little Rock. North Little Rock came into Bryant. They gave Bryant everything they could handle, but Bryant came out on top 35-21. First game where Bryant starters had to play all four quarters.
I was going to say, here's the news flash. Bryant didn't invoke the mercy rule for a change. Now, we didn't think they would against North Little Rock. North Little Rock, although it has had its struggles at times this year, that is a team, of course, that is used to making it to state championship games. Lost to Bryant last year in the championship, but it beat them 3 consecutive years in the regular season. So you knew North Little Rock would come to play, and they did. But Bryant, the superior team this year, they end up pulling away at the end and winning by 14 points, 35-21. But it was still very much a ball game into the fourth quarter, Jeremy.
Yes, middle of the third quarter was 21-21. And then North Little Rock had a couple turnovers, which led to 14 points, which is the final deficit there. Just for North Little Rock, 5 turnovers, and they've had 13 turnovers the last 4 weeks. That's not winning football. That's not what North Little Rock is used to. And Jamie Mitchell was very displeased with his team performance on Friday night.
Yeah, I read his quotes in the story. He was not pleased at all. But he's going to have that team ready come playoff time.
I'll tell you what. Right now, Bryant. They go to Conway on Friday night. Conway. Let's talk about Conway. That's a team that was down 31-14 at Little Rock Catholic on Friday night. They come back and win 38-31 and just stun the Rockets. Here we're thinking, boy, Little Rock Catholic can pull this off here. They have a possible shot at a 2 seed.
Yep.
But then the Wampus Cats, fourth quarter magic right there with the Smith brothers, Shane and Manny.
Oh, great comeback by the Wampus Cats. I mean, those are 2 good football teams. We've been talking about it in recent weeks. Conway wins 38-31, but again, that's one of those, I think maybe if they played 8 or 9 times, they'd have 4 victories each, 5 victories each if they played 10 times. They're pretty well matched, and again, I can see either of those teams getting hot in the playoffs. 2 good football teams, and as we expected out at War Memorial, a very good football game last Friday.
Yeah, and with Conway now, they get Bryant at home on Friday night. The winner will win the 7A Central number 1 seed. The loser will be the 2 seed. So going in Friday night's game, both teams will at least have a first round bye in the Class 7A playoffs. But for Bryant, just 9 games, they're 9-0. They've had the mercy rule in 8 of their first 9 games. Their defense is playing really well right now. Austin Ledbetter has been one of the best quarterbacks in the state. But you're going to Conway, and Conway with Keith Fimple, they've had a good defense this year that have kept teams low scoring. If Conway can keep this game a low scoring affair, I think that's their best shot to win this Friday night.
I agree. But it's going to be a good game. Bryant at Conway. We're talking about Catholic. They've got Central coming over this week, a good rivalry game. This is kind of rivalry weeks. The schedules have changed through the years, but fortunately, a lot of the old rivalries continue to be in that final week of the regular season. So you look at every classification and you see some really good rivalry games this week.
Yes, and also North Little Rock at Cabot. That's a big game going into Friday night.
It is.
Because you look at that game right now, if North Little Rock loses that game, they could fall to like a number 5 seed because they've had a loss. They would have a loss to Cabot. They would have a loss to Catholic already. So that's a huge game for North Little Rock. I mean, they're already going to be in the playoffs, but have to play in the first round. But if they lose to Cabot, there's a good shot they may have to go on the road first round, which is kind of
Absolutely.
unusual for them.
It's very unusual for them in recent years. So that again, another of those big games in the 7A. And then we, of course, look up to the 7A West. You had Bentonville rolling 52-0 over Springdale. But I thought the upset of the week was Van Buren beating Bentonville West. Perhaps West looking a little bit ahead to that Battle of Bentonville. But still, I think it'll be a very good game. I think West will play well. I would pick Bentonville, but if West were to spring the upset, it wouldn't completely surprise me there on Friday night.
You know, and I definitely want to give Van Buren a lot of credit. You know, Crosby
Yep.
Tuck in his first year as head coach, former Shiloh Christian star and assistant coach for Shiloh. You know, he knows offense very well, and you know he's done a really good job in his first year at Van Buren, taking over for Casey Dick. And that's right now. You beat a team like Bentonville West in Week 9 in the 9th game of the season. That's a signature victory for our Pointers program that, quite frankly, has not won a lot of football games in recent years. But they're going to go back to the playoffs in consecutive years for the first time since, I believe, 2010 and 2011. That's a really good win for Van Buren.
Yeah, it was a huge win for Van Buren. Like you said, they haven't had a lot of big wins in the last decade or so. And so that was a signature victory, as you say.
Yes, and you know, Bentonville West, obviously it's the Battle of Bentonville. West is going to come into that game coming off a loss. How are they going to respond? Now, Bentonville, on the other hand, Bentonville's 9-0. They're now our number 2 team in the state overall. And, you know, the Tigers defense is just rolling right now. And I think right now you could argue that the 2 best defenses in the state in Class 7A is probably Bryan and Bentonville.
I would certainly argue that.
You know, I mean, just right now, you know, they took care of business last week against Springdale. And, you know, I probably expect Bentonville to win that game and win the 7A West number 1 seed, get a first round bye. So, you know, it's definitely going to be a good one up there Friday night.
Should be.
So, you know, looking down to Class 6A, you know, Ben is now the 6A West champ after going to Lake Hamilton and winning that game in Percy. How about the Benton Panthers?
To beat Greenwood and Lake Hamilton back to back, I mean, that just says the world about Benton. It says the world about a job Coach Harris has done, all the kids who play for him, his assistant coaches. I mean, this was a team, we've mentioned it all year, but I think it's a great story that started the season 0-3, and then they got in conference play, and they just won't be turned back at all, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the product of why you build a tough schedule. It helps your team, and also they're healthier now too.
Much healthier.
They got Gavin Wells back. They're one of their star receivers. Garrett Brown's been playing well at quarterback. DeAnthony Harper has been good at running back. Their defense is solid. I think that's a team right now in Class 6A. They're going to have that first round bye, and they're going to be at home throughout the playoffs. That's definitely a team I would not want to face in November.
Oh, I wouldn't either. I mean, Greenwood's still going to have a lot to say about things. So will Jonesboro. So will Searcy. Lake Hamilton certainly could get hot again. 6A playoffs are going to be a lot of fun.
And you know, we mentioned the 6A West. You know, Ben will be the number 1 seed.
Yep.
But then the number 2 seed comes down to Friday night when Greenwood goes to Lake Hamilton.
Yes.
Greenwood coming off a 42-0 shutout of Sheridan, which I did not want to be a Sheridan Yellow Jacket last week. I know they've had a great year, but it was not a good week to be a Sheridan or anybody going up against Greenwood.
Nobody would have wanted to play Greenwood last week.
They were not happy about that at all. But now the number 2 seed is on the line Friday night. Greenwood at Lake Hamilton. Just what do you think about this game going in, Rex?
I think Greenwood is definitely the favorite going into the ball game, even though they are on the road. But again, this is a good Lake Hamilton ball club. They have gotten better as the year went on. I think they just caught kind of a juggernaut in Benton at this point in that 31-20 loss. But I think they'll come back and they'll give Greenwood. I'm picking Greenwood, but I expect Lake Hamilton to give them a very good football game.
Yes, and you know, I tell you what, your top 3 seeds is, you know, Ben will be your 1. It's either Greenwood or Lake Hamilton's your 2, and the other team, the loser of Friday night's game, will be the 3 seed. So that's a really good 6A West, top of the 6A West right there. But just 6A East now. You know, Jonesboro beats Sylvan Hills 31-7. Marion beats Jacksonville 28-6. Searcy rolls over Mountain Home 49-13. And West Memphis shuts out Pine Bluff 12-0. Right now, Jonesboro and Searcy are tied at 5-1 in the 6A East. This week, you got Jonesboro at Marion on Thursday night, and Sylvan Hills goes to Searcy. So if Jonesboro beats Marion, they'll be the number 1 seed with their tiebreaker victory over Searcy. But if Jonesboro loses and Searcy wins, Searcy could be the number 1 seed. So
Yeah.
very interesting Thursday night in the 6A East.
It really is. Again, and you mentioned it, let's make the point that this is that final week of the regular season when there are a lot of Thursday games, not quite half, but a lot of Thursday games. That started a number of years ago. So we'll have a full slate of activity both Thursday night and Friday night of this week.
Yes, and all the 6A East games are on Thursday night, excuse me. Like we mentioned, Jonesboro and Marion, Sylvan Hills and Searcy, Mountain Home is at West Memphis, and Pine Bluff is at Jacksonville. Pine Bluff-Jacksonville game is the game that I'll be at on Thursday night, and that's a game where the winner of that game will be in the 6A East playoffs, or will be the Class 6A playoffs from the 6A East. The loser will be out. So you don't get too many of those winner in, loser out games in Week 10. So that's definitely pretty exciting there. Going down to Class 5A, Class 5A once again, you have all 3 out of your 4 conferences have their number 1 seed set. The 5A Central, Little Rock Christian clinches the number 1 seed out of the Central with a 34-7 victory at Maumelle. Then the 5A East, Valley View clinches the number 1 seed, beating Nettleton 20-13. And down to 5A West, Harrison Goblins once again rolling. They go to 9-0, beating Huntsville 49-7. So Rex, you got Little Rock Christian, Valley View, and Harrison, all number 1 seeds in the Class 5A playoffs. I've thought this all year long, but I just think that Class 5A could be the most competitive classification going into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely, because it might not be a number 1 seed. Let's not forget you've still got Pulaski Academy, which knows a whole lot about winning state championships. PA beat Watson Chapel 43-6 on Friday night. Right now, I think it's your state champion looking down the lines, either going to be Christian, Pulaski Academy, or Harrison. I mean, Valley View could certainly catch fire in my mind, but I think it's going to be one of those other 3. You've got other teams playing well, teams you've ranked. You've got Bologna playing well. You've got Forest City playing well, for instance.
Yes, and Forest City and Bologna will both be 2 seeds.
Yeah.
Forest City will be the 2 seed in the East, and Bologna will be the 2 seed in the West. Great jobs by Forest City and Bologna to rebound and get into the mix there. But you mentioned Pulaski Academy as the number 2 seed. It's been a while since they've been a 2 seed. I think it's been over a decade since they've been a 2 seed in the playoffs. So not a usual position for them. But we can talk about this now. If you look at the bracket, Rex, if Pulaski Academy and Harrison win their first round playoff games next week, Pulaski Academy be the 2 seed, Harrison's number 1 seed out of the West. We're going to have a Pulaski Academy at Harrison quarterfinal matchup in the middle of November.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah, that's a state championship type of game. But you're right, we may see it in the quarterfinals this year.
It could very well happen if both teams take care of their business. So if it is PA at Harrison, I may have to take that drive up Highway 65. But we shall see, though. We'll have to look at the schedule, but make no mistake, I can admit to y'all right now, over the last month since I've looked at the bracket, I'm thinking, we could have PA Harrison in the quarterfinals. Are you kidding me right now?
Exactly.
Gosh almighty. But now, we have not talked about the 5A South. 5A South still's got a lot of work going on there. Hot Springs Lakeside is 5-1. They're the only 1-loss team in the South right now after beating McClellan 21-20 in overtime. They play Hot Springs on Friday night. And
those rivalry games.
Another one of those rivalry games. And, Texarkana, right now, Texarkana, Magnolia, Camden Fairview, and Hot Springs all have 2 losses in the conference. So you got those 5 teams right there. Depending on tiebreakers and all that, one of those teams is going to be left out on Friday night. And believe that all the 5A South games are on Friday night. We got Lakeside at Hot Springs. We got Camden Fairview at McClellan. We got Magnolia at Hope. Texarkana at the Queen. How about the 5A South jumble of a mess right now?
It is a jumble right now. I'll let you sort it out for me, and I'll figure it out in Saturday morning's paper. How's that?
Okay. Deal. Absolutely. Maybe I'll try to figure it out, and maybe if I can call into your radio show. We'll see what happens.
There you go.
Absolutely. And, we mentioned McClellan, and McClellan's going to miss the playoffs in their final season. And that's the disappointing end for the McClellan Crimson Lions. I mean, that's a program that's been to 2 out of the last 4 state championships
in Class
5A.
Yeah.
But just unfortunately for McClellan, penalties, inconsistent play kind of doomed the Crimson Lions this season. Maurice Moody's final year at McClellan, Stay tuned to see what will happen with Coach Moody and where he'll end up, whether he'll be at the new Southwest High School or if he'll go to another school in the state. Who knows? I mean, this next month or two, we talk about the college football coaching carousel.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to tell you all right now, if 1 week left in the regular season, I think, as always, if the last couple of years are any indication, the coaching carousel in high school football in this state is going to get even bigger this year.
I tell you one thing, whoever ends up at the new Little Rock Southwest High School is going to have some incredible facilities. I've seen the drawings out there. They're going to be incredible.
Yes, and the Little Rock Southwest called the Griffins.
Yeah, the Griffins.
Yep. Very interesting purple, blue colors out there. Kind of unique here in the state of Arkansas.
Yeah.
But that's for next season. But go down to Class 4A. Class 4A, the 1-4A. Your key matchup in the 1-4A on Friday night will be Pea Ridge at Shiloh Christian. Both teams 6-0 in the 1-3A. Shiloh Christian's 9-0 overall. Just Shiloh's been rolling over opponents every week, and Pea Ridge has overcome a slow non-conference start to be 6-0 in the conference right now. Just how about Pea Ridge, Shiloh Christian Friday night, Rex?
I'm going with Shiloh in this one. Again, Pea Ridge might get hot, but Shiloh has just gotten stronger and stronger. In fact, they're a team I can see possibly winning a state championship. They beat Gravette last week, 61-6, for example. I think they have peaked at the right time. Again, I think they'll win Friday, and I think they very well could win the 4A state championship.
Yes, and going down the line, just the 2-4A and. Riverview, which was entering that game against Heber Springs at 5-0 in the 2-4A, was upset by Heber Springs 49-35. So now Riverview and Southside Batesville are both 5-1 in the conference, and Riverview is at home on Thursday night. There's that Thursday-Friday schedule once again. Riverview gets Lone Oak at home, and Southside Batesville is at Bald Knob on Friday. So if Riverview wins on Thursday night, they'll be the 1 seed out of the 2-4A. But if they lose, they have to hope for Southside Batesville to lose the Bald Knob to be that number 1 seed.
Gotcha.
But if Riverview loses, Southside wins, Southside will be your 1 seed out of the 2-4A. But just a great job by Drake Widener and also Kenny Simpson up at Southside Batesville. It's get down the final week of the year. You have a chance to play for a conference championship. Not too bad.
Yeah.
Just the 3-4A, it's the Jonesboro West Side beating Truman 21-0. Logan McPherson having another big game, over 200 yards rushing once again. Rivercrest beats Cave City 54-7. Pocahontas beats Gosnell 45-18. Going down to 4-4A, Ozark is your number 1.
Great year.
Ozark's had a great year. The Hillbillies beat Waldron 49-8 and will be the number 1 seed out of the 4-4A. But now let's go down to 7-4A. 7-4A, it's obviously
SEC West.
The SEC West of high school football in the state of Arkansas. It's a lot of people call it. And Joe T. Robinson, you got Joe T. Robinson with 1 loss, Arkadelphia with 1 loss, Nashville with 1 loss. So a lot of things going to be sorted out this week.
I don't see any of them losing, Jeremy. I think they're all 3 going to end up with 1 loss. And again, I could see any of the 3 winning a state championship. Arkadelphia over Bauxite, 42-7 last week. Poor old Bauxite started great in the conference, but as we talked about, they have to finish with those 3 teams every year. Robinson beats Ashdown 55-12. And Nashville beats Malvern by a final of 37-12. So none of the 3 were even close last week.
Yes, and if all 3 of those teams win, Robinson, Nashville, and Arkadelphia, they'll all be 6-1 in the conference. Could come down to tiebreaker points. Right now, Robinson has 65 tiebreaker points going into Thursday night. Nashville and Arkadelphia each have 53.
Interesting.
So Robinson beat Nashville but lost to Arkadelphia. Nashville beat Arkadelphia. So it's a lot of tiebreakers to sort out there. We'll sort that out later in the week and whatnot.
Wow.
And then the 8-4A. How about your 8-4A champion? And it's not the Warren Lumberjacks.
No, it's not.
It is the Crossett
Eagles.
The Crossett Eagles beating West Helena Central 29-0. How about the job Sonny Easton has done at Crossett?
They've done a great job at Crossett. Used to be down in Louisiana. It's come up, really reinvigorated that program after many down years. But Warren's got such tradition. They beat Hamburg 14-7. Their wins have not been that impressive, But the difference between a Warren and a Crossett is Warren really knows what it's all about when it comes playoff time.
Yes.
It's all going to be kind of new to the Crossett kids.
Yes, absolutely.
Certainly being a favorite's going to be new to
Oh, yes.
being a 1 seed. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, like being in that situation, like, now you're going to be looked at as the 1 seed and
Right.
whatnot. But Warren, Vincent Steps has played well. Their star running back for Warren. He knows what it's like to play in November. So, Warren, interesting position for them, being the 2 seed right now.
Yeah, but if Bo Embry's club makes a deep run, don't be surprised. At all.
Never. I'm never going to count those. Never going to count those guys out. That's why I still got Warren in my top 6
Yep.
in Class 4A,
Yep.
even with everything that's gone on with them. But now going down to Class 3A, just we'll go down the line here. Just our number 1 seeds. Boonville's going to be the number 1 seed in the 1-3A. This is their second straight conference title in the 1-3A and third conference title overall. They were in Class 4A 2 years ago. And then in the 3A2, in the 2-3A, Hardin Academy's 5-0 right now. They beat Rosebud last week, and they go to Cedar Ridge this week, and they should win that game at Cedar Ridge. So Hardin Academy, for all intents and purposes, will probably be your conference champion at the 2-3A. Then you go down to the 3-3A, Newport and Osceola. That's a big game Friday night. Newport at Osceola, Rex. Newport and Osceola both 6-0 in the conference. The winner will be the number 1 seed. The loser will be the 2 seed. How about Newport Osceola Friday night?
It's going to be a good game. I'm going to family ties make me side with Newport. Now this was long before I was born, Jeremy, but believe it or not, my father's first job out of college was head football coach at Newport High School. That was in 1948, in fact.
Wow.
So some Newport roots there in the family, but that should be a great game this week.
Yes, I would love, it's too bad we can't get Mr. Bill Keaty's thoughts on that.
It really is. I miss Coach Keaty. What a great guy he was.
Yes, I love
a lot of tradition there, but tradition at Osceola too. So Osceola beats Corning last week by a final score of 36-6. So both those programs playing well right now.
Yes, and Newport Osceola, that's a game that's always been a good game, and Osceola's rebounded from their season opening loss to Valley View, which Valley View's turned out to be a good loss because Valley View is undefeated in Class 5A. So really for Osceola, good job by Robert Hooks to get that thing turned around there. Then in your 4-3A, Glen Rose will be your number 1 seed after beating Atkins.
Yep.
After beating Atkins 35-7 on Friday night, Atkins will likely be your 2 seed. But in the 5-3A, Rex, Prescott, Camden, Harmony Grove, that was one of the big games going in last week. Prescott beats Camden Harmony Grove 60-32.
60 points they scored. I'm telling you. And I've been saying it in recent weeks, Carly Wolf, very well a team that could win a state championship this year.
Yes, and I tell you what, after seeing Risen and Prescott play each other in the first game of the year, if those teams were to meet again in Class 3A playoffs, sign me up for that.
Yeah, Rison beat Spartan 47-0 last week. So both Prescott and Rison with big wins last Friday night.
Yes, and Risen will be should be your number 1 seed out of the 6-3A. So, Clay Toddy always has great teams down there with the Wildcats for sure. Now let's go down to Class 2A, the Salem Greyhounds. The Salem Greyhounds will be your number 1 seed after beating McCrory 14-8 on Friday night. So hats off to the Salem Greyhounds. That's a great win for Salem. And then, down to the 4-2A, Magazine will be your 1 seed. They're 5-0 in the conference, 7-1 overall. Then the 5-2A, the Magna Cove Panthers. How about the Magna Cove Panthers? I mean, they have a great running game right now. They're going to be your 1 seed out of the 5-2A. Then Desark in 6-2A.
Well, I've been keeping an eye on Desark all year. Again, that's a team with a lot of playoff tradition there. They beat Earl 60-12. Again, they're on my list of teams that I think can get hot in the playoffs and win a state championship.
Yeah, and you look at Earl these past 2 weeks. They've been outscored 100-12.
Oh, wow.
By Hazen and Desark the last 2 weeks. That has not happened too often to the Earl Bulldogs, but
then Hazen comes back and they shut out Mariana by a score of 48-0. So that's another one on my list of teams that could win a state championship.
Yes, and Hazen's won 3 in a row since I lost to Desark. In the last 2 weeks, Hazen has outscored their 2 opponents 88-0.
Gee. Have not allowed a point in the last 8 quarters.
Absolutely, and this late in the year, you want to see your defense rise to the occasion. They certainly have. Now the 7-2A, the number one seed will come down to Friday night's matchup. Foreman at Gurdon. Foreman and Gurdon both 6-0 in the 7-2A. The Foreman Gators, they lost Mark Keene as head coach last year. He's now to Magnolia, but Adrian Ivory has certainly stepped in and done a great job there. And the Gurdon Go Devils. The Gurdon Go Devils struggled early. They started off 1-2 in the non-conference, but they've rebounded in conference play. Just going into Friday night, Rex, how about Foreman and Gurdon for the 7-2A title?
I think it could go either way. Like you said, Gurdon's gotten hot after a slow start in non-conference play. Foreman's played well all year long. They beat Murfreesboro 48-12 last Friday night. I consider that a toss-up game.
Yes, and the A2A, Junction City is going to be your 1 seed. They have the tiebreaker over Fordyce. They're also 4-0 in the conference. Junction City was off last week, but they'll get Parker's Chapel on Friday night. So Rex, we got one more week left here in the regular season, and we're going to be busy this Friday night. Getting playoff brackets set up, ready to go. It's one thing we always like to do at the Arkansas Democrat Gazette is have the playoff schedule ready to go in Saturday morning's newspaper. That's something we take pride in doing. We always try to do that, to get it in there in the morning. We'll post it online as well on Saturday morning. Let everybody know what's going on, because people talk about that stuff on Saturday morning.
You better believe it. It's playoff time now, and so we're going to be wanting to see those brackets, and I promise you I'll have my paper early Saturday morning with my big cup of coffee, and I'll be studying those brackets myself, Jeremy. So make sure you get them all in there.
Yes, we will. That's a guarantee by us. So I tell you what, we got 1 week left here to regular season, 2 days this week, Thursday night and Friday night. So a lot of football left to still be played here in the regular season. So for Rex Nelson, I'm Jeremy Muck. Thank you for watching the Arkansas Democrat Gazette High School Football Podcast. Thank you very much, and go out and watch a high school football game Thursday and or Friday.